I think that is very clear. We are a massive club, but we are not a massive team. And we know it. It is no problem to say it. So we want to improve. We are in the different moment from Arsenal, but you can feel it during the game. I think we have to believe more, because we were not dominant in the game, but we are controlled.
Ruben Amorim talking there openly about Manchester United, where his team is at and the expectation levels. In that press conference yesterday, the embargoed version, some very tough questions were asked of Ruben Amorim on Marcus Rashford not applauding the fans, his performance in-game as well, LGBTQ plus campaign and why Manchester United are not participating in that. You just get that feeling. I think we've all felt this. You ask a question, don't you? Or you see someone asking a question, and you can tell by the way that you're asking it, or that person's asking it, that they're sort of apprehensive as to how it's going to be answered. Those were some of the questions I thought, and some of the sort of like the whole sort of vibe around that press conference, the embargo version yesterday, that was very difficult, and you could see it. And Ruben Amorim absolutely nailed every single question. Put under pressure, under big pressure, without really getting himself too worked up about difficult questions and too worked up about some awkward situations within Manchester United. Good questions, good answers. We're getting into all of them. We're looking ahead to the game today. Hopefully you're all safe. The weather is horrendous out there. Obviously we're being hit by another storm here in England right now. Please do get your comments in the live section. That's what I want to hear from, and that's where I want to see you all in this morning. Hope you're all doing well, like I said. Hope you're looking forward to the game. Get me your thoughts on the game and where you see it going later on as well. Late kickoff, don't forget, 5:30. So yeah, we're going to be there at Old Trafford. We'll bring you all the footage and reaction from the game later on, and we probably will be live later on as well with Jay tonight with a full-on breakdown show of what's gone down at Old Trafford. But let's first of all get into what Ruben Amorim has been saying in his press conference around, obviously, the players at the moment, the injury situation, the recovery time, the rotation, everything that's going on with this game today, and some very, very difficult ones. But I feel a bit of a statement from Ruben Amorim in what he said there. We are a massive club, but we are not a massive team. That is a bang on the money, nailed it comment from where Manchester United are at right now from Ruben Amorim, our head coach. I just feel like he is just being completely honest. We have talked in this week leading up to this game. We did a show the other day about everything that was going on behind the scenes with Ruben Amorim. It feels like he's got a good old hold of what is actually happening right now. And I think he knows that these players, and some of these quotes will show you and tell you exactly where he's at with these players right now. There is a ton to get through, so I'm going to try and get through as much of this as I can, as quickly as I can, and get into the comment section as well and give you your say as well on everything that's going down right now. But I want to start with obviously the key one there, which is what you've just seen the clip of. Ruben Amorim openly answering a question regarding the sort of slap in the face reality check game, which was Arsenal. And he openly said, look, Manchester United right now are that club. We're a massive club, but we're not a massive team. We're not at the development of what Arsenal are. We controlled the game, but we didn't dominate the game. That's the level, and that's the difference from where we are right now to where we need to get to. And I think that's what's important to remember as well. There is the potential there. He sees potential within this squad, but the players need to do more. We need to learn more. And he goes into detail on this in the press conference. I'm just going to read down through all of the quotes that have come through. And he goes in again on Manchester United in the final third. So I'm just going to get through all of this now. Amorim, they need to do more. They need to know more information, have more information about what to do in the final third. We don't have time to do it, but we are trying to do it. At the beginning, I said that we will lose possession too often. Today, today it's the opposite. Sometimes we lose. We are close to the box. And we keep the ball, so it's not just their fault. Sometimes we don't have time to address all of the aspects. We have to manage everything. We have to believe in it. They need more information from the staff to improve these kinds of qualities. Don't hold on to the ball enough. Don't keep possession well enough. We are doing that now, but sometimes that cooks itself into the areas around the final third where he feels that they're keeping the ball too much, not making that clear, decisive decision in delivering a pass or a cross or having a shot. I mean, that's what he's alluding to there, and obviously that is another aspect of his plan that he is going to have to put in place. It's impossible to win the Premier League without having a team that fights at every moment. If you want to win, we have to do it. Even with the best 11 on the planet, they won't win anything without running. If you want to win the Premier League, you have to run like mad dogs. Otherwise, we won't get there. It's clear. Interesting one on the comment on the mad dogs one there. Samuel Luckhurst, who was at the press conference from the MEN yesterday, made a great tweet regarding Jose Mourinho. 6 years ago to the day, Mourinho said that Manchester United don't have enough mad dogs in their squad, i.e. that physicality, that grit, that determination. And then today, another Portuguese manager in saying you have to fight like mad dogs. It's all going down the same road. This is going back over half a decade of managers saying exactly the same thing. What did Ralf Rangnick also say about the physicality? Ten Hag, physicality. We don't have enough aggression within our squad, and that can only come from within players. If they haven't got it in them, then we are struggling. And that player is going to struggle to survive at Manchester United. I think that's going to become abundantly clear when we get to the back end of this season and the transfer window does open. How do we prevent this team from making an effort in the first few months and then falling back into their old habits? This was the one that got me. This was the question and the answer that really hit home in terms of where he sees Manchester United at. And it goes back into that comment, we are a massive club, but we are not a massive team. 100%. He says, I just want to talk about what I see. What I see is that they are making an effort. There are a lot of things to improve. In a few months, we will see where the players' state of mind is. Well, that pretty much tells me everything that we've been talking about building up to this weekend over the last couple of days, and then him talking about it in the press conference yesterday. It's all aligning. It's basically, he will get the effort. You will get the bounce. You will get that extra bit of excitement with everything being new. But can you hold it? And that's going to be the challenge. We've all said it. He knows it himself. INEOS know it. All the fans are talking about. We're waiting for these players to just revert back to type and just start rinse and repeat in the same style, the same attitude of all the last managers over the last 10 years that have seen them get the sack. And that's what he's alluded to. He knows what's coming. He knows that some of these players are not going to last. They're not going to stay the course. And that, I feel, is exactly why Ruben Amorim is being so open at the start in his press conferences. He's making it clear that everybody knows what he is thinking. He understands what's going on at the club right now, and he's saying it, and he's saying it every single time in every press conference. He is just clear, transparent, open, and honest in everything that he says. I mean, on whether the perception of the club needs to change, and this goes back into that last comment. It won't change because this club has an important and glorious past. Our players have to understand that in this very difficult position, and it's a very difficult position, because we are not one of the best teams in the league, and we have to say it and think it clearly. We have to focus on the little things, the little details. Let's focus on the little details, and we will improve the team. Again, that goes back into Manchester United being a massive club, but not a massive team. We are a team where the perception is not going to change, i.e. the pundits, the experts, the fans, the people talking outside of the ground will not let the standards drop. If the club are going to up ticket prices and charge a premium to watch football, we expect better football. Manchester United's name and everything that this club was built on was built around a better brand of football. And the standards of this football club are high, and INEOS will not let them standards drop. So the perception and what he's talking about there, I feel, is exactly where everybody thinks Manchester United should be, and we have to accept as a team and the coaches that we are not good enough. We are nowhere near that level, and we're not. We only have to look at where we are and how we've performed over the last few years, and it's not enough for Manchester United. Again, another point where Amorim has proved that he understands the situation. He understands the magnitude of what Manchester United expectations are, and the fans, the pundits, everybody else talking about it Every radio station, every YouTube channel, everyone around the planet talking about the same thing. When are Manchester United going to get back there? Because the expectations are never going to drop. And the perception of this club will never drop off. He understands that. So these players need to understand that they're not up to that level at the moment, and it's up to them again. Again, leading into the same line of issues that we are going to be dealing with by the end of this season. And that is some will sink, some will swim. And Ruben Amorim is tasked with making that job clear for INEOS and make it easy for them to make the certain decisions and key decisions that are needed when the transfer window opens up on July the 1st. Now let's get into some more of these quotes quickly. I've just lost my page there for a second at a moment, didn't I? Sorry everyone, I will be right back. Amorim on Rashford's performance against Arsenal. Like I said, I'm going to get through as many of these as I possibly can, and then we're just going to go into a big conversation about it. So keep your conversations going in the chat. Thank you everybody for being here. Please make sure you do give the video a like as well. Make sure you have subscribed to Forever United TV. We've got you covered daily with all of your Man United updates. Amorim was asked the question on Marcus Rashford's performance. I think this was a very nice Strictly Come Dancing sidestep when it came to the Rashford situation from Ruben Amorim. I think internally he knows, and I think this says it all. I prefer to focus on the whole team. We have a lot of things to improve, not just Marcus. The whole team can improve in all aspects of the game. As I said before, I think the way we sprint backwards and forwards, the way we fight, that's something that has to be very clear to everybody. That's the most important point. The technical and the tactical aspect will come later. So it's not just Marcus. Everyone has to improve in that area. Yeah, everyone does have to improve in that area, Ruben. You're dead right about that. But one person more, and that's why the question keeps getting asked about him, because he is the one that doesn't look like he is making that effort and improving in that area. He really doesn't look like he cares. Physical aspect needs to improve, yes. If they're used to doing it in training, they will do it in matches. They are professional athletes and they can improve. They cannot be faster, but you can run more by training. We have to improve in training and then in matches. Again, actually, I'll take a break from everything there and just get your comments on all of that. But yeah, I think he's pretty much made it clear there. There is more to come on Marcus Rashford as well, which we'll get into in a moment. But I think it's quite obvious. Welcome to the Members Club, Oliver, gifted by James. Thank you for that one, buddy. What time does Marcus Rashford's bashing start? Thanks for that, Bizarre. Yep, you can bring up that point. I'm just saying what the manager said. Got no issue at all what the manager said. If you do, then sorry. I'm just like some people in trying to defend or think that there is some sort of agenda against it. I didn't ask the question. I'm talking about the press conference, but there are some saddos that do need to actually bite back and try and defend him. That's fine. Totally get it. But he was poor, and of course, you are going to get people picking up on what Rashford did in the game as well. We alluded to it yesterday, and it is just going to continue. Well, Leopard never changes his spots, and I think that's why them questions were asked in the press conference. They're relevant questions. These players, not just Marcus Rashford, like he said, have been the issue at this football club for years gone by. Why have we lost our way? He needs to get a grip with the players and where they're at. He needs to get a grip with what the expectation levels are and balance that out. It's not easy for him to do. And the questions around certain players are going to be the ones that are always going to come up, no matter who's the manager. The problem that we've got is there is one player in that team, in Marcus Rashford, that everybody's picking out on because he's visible more than everybody else. Everyone looks like they're making an effort. Everybody looks like they're trying to do more. And you've still got Marcus Rashford moping around the pitch with his clear attitude problems to a lot of people. Look, I've said it all along, and I'm never going to change my mind about him. And the media are always going to keep asking the questions. There was 2 specific questions about Marcus Rashford in that press conference. So, yeah. And what you've got to do and what you've got to look at in all of it is the media are only going to ask questions that are going to get that big headline answer. You've seen it there in terms of the reality check from Arsenal. Manchester United standards. Do we need to drop our standards? Will the perspective of the football club change? They're trying to get big statements from a coach who is ahead of them in terms of what's coming. He's obviously been well trained up as to what is coming. But if you've got someone who says that, like Ten Hag did, and this is where he always fell into the trap with the media, where he said that you have to just trust the process, we're doing well. No, he wasn't. We were just falling away completely. They are trying to lure him into that negative trap of saying something that can be picked up on and already be hit with the daggers that the media like to throw at every single man in the hot seat at Manchester United. We all know the script, we all know the routine with them, but it's up to the manager to get a result. When you've got results going your way, they haven't got any fuel. There's questions change. After every defeat, you're going to get bombarded with the obvious, and the obvious is Manchester United didn't really create enough chances against Arsenal. Are we miles away? Should we lower our standards and accept that we are where we are? What about Marcus Rashford? Why did he turn away from the fans? Why did he not go and clap the fans at weekend? What about his performance in the game? It doesn't look like he's showing enough effort compared to everybody else. They're the lines and they're the questions that are going to flood in every time. It's fuel. They love it. And that's what is always going to happen at Manchester United. Bigger questions come as well. I'm just going to go into Amorim, what he actually did say on Marcus Rashford and not clapping or applauding the fans. Amorim on Rashford not greeting fans after the Arsenal game. We have to do it, especially when we lose. We're going to do it, and everyone has to do it. That's how it's going to be. He didn't want to get into detail on it. He just answered the question straight. Rashford will be dealt with internally, as he always is. And I feel like Amorim is dealing with certain players and certain issues at the football club by what he's doing on the pitch and how he's operating. Certain players playing, certain players not playing. And ask questions about the injuries and the rotation again. He basically does shut that down again by saying, look, the players that are getting less game time are the ones that are coming back from injury, so they're being maintained. They cannot train in the week. They're on recovery. So when they do play, because we haven't got enough time to train them and monitor the training, they will be given a certain amount of game time. This is key, and I think this is important to take from this press conference as well, because he does go into detail on this, and I think this is what was happening before. Like the players coming back, they were obviously being overtrained, and notice now how we're not getting as many injuries. Luke Shaw is a sideshow of injuries and the situation there. Look, Lindelof is back in training as well. Johnny Evans will be back in training very soon as well. Look, there are going to be niggles, there are going to be knocks, but what is not going to happen under Ruben Amorim is the overtraining aspect, which was clearly happening under Erik Ten Hag. You could see it. He's monitoring Mason Mount. He's trying to look after him. And I think that's important as well to get everybody up to fitness. He's alluded to this many a times before as well in post-match press conferences and other pre-match press conferences, interviews as well. It's about making sure that the player gets the right treatment coming back from injury. And we will eventually get a fully fit squad. And he's getting there. When he can't train them and he has to play them through games, what he's basically saying is their training is in the game for 60 minutes and they will learn from that. That's it. That's their training. Everything else is recovery and making sure they're in the best physical condition to go into that game. And he's not going to get chance to train them every day. He's probably getting 1 or 2 training days a week at the moment. That's it. In between both games. We are not going to get a 2 or 3 day period of training until February. That's the first time when a gap opens up in United's fixtures. Unless we blow the Europa League, that is. And then that goes as well. I can't see us blowing it, but we are still going to get... we're still going to get that gap that we need for him to do a bit more. And like I said before, like get through December and January, and I think we will have a good. We'll have a good look at what's actually going on at Manchester United. I think we'll all know exactly where everybody is at and whether this team are actually working under Amorim. I think that's going to be the time to really judge what's going down. More questions were brought up. A key one as well. Amorim on the squad not participating in Adidas's LGBTQ plus campaign. It was a group decision as the players as it should be. And this was all to do with Nusa Mazraoui and his religious beliefs, and he was the only player that was uncomfortable with it. Therefore, the team did not want to leave Nusa out on his own. and they made a team decision. It's about inclusion. It's about everybody feeling comfortable and part of something. He wanted to make it very clear that this was a team decision. They wanted to do what was best for the whole squad. And if it's one player, it's the whole team. And that decision has been made. And I think he put that to bed quite quick, because that could be a tricky subject. That could be a tricky question to get around. And you could easily trip yourself up with that for obvious reasons. But I think he's handled it well. I think he's answered it right. And I think the team ultimately have made the decision that they feel is best for them and their whole squad and their team. I think that's important. And again, a little trap from the media and asking about that. The question is going to come. It's not so much a trap. I didn't say that right there. It's more like just trying to find them questions that are going to get the big headline answers. And it was a tough old press conference for him. It really was. And you have to look at that and say, well done, Ruben Amorim. He's got through that. Ideally, we need a win today. Otherwise, you know the lines of questions that are going to be coming after this afternoon's game. And it's going to get worse and worse for him. But he is going to be finding out the limitations of these players now, I feel, over these especially the next 3 weeks of games. They are very, very difficult. So let's see what they do and let's see what he gets out of them as well. Thank you for all of the likes as well, everyone. We're creeping up to that 100 like mark. Let's get into the comments section. Frank Davison says, Rashford ignoring the coach's hands and throwing his gloves on the ground just sums up his attitude. Let's see what else we've got here. But Marcus is consistently rubbish. I think that's answering Bizarre's. Other than Diallo, our entire our forwards was crap against Arsenal, including Garnacho and Rasmus. I don't think Rasmus was. Garnacho was. I think at the moment we have got one performing forward. The rest are really letting the side down. We've talked about that before. It's got nothing to do with Marcus Rashford not clapping the fans or not running as hard as anybody else, which is what Ruben is talking about. The game and what happened at Arsenal has gone, and the player performance-wise and what they did has been put to bed. It's all about the effort, and what Amorim is talking about is the running and what Manchester United players are doing. How much effort are they putting in? They're the questions that are coming out right now and the ones that he's having to answer. Amorim, please be ruthless now. If you keep these players, they will get you sacked. They will turn the fans against you. Amorim, please let the eyes of your understanding be enlightened. Oh, come on, Tresu. James Smith says, good. No one should be told what they support. No, I get it. I do. United fan says, Diallo never complains and always puts 100% effort. He needs that new contract. On the new contract side of things, it is looking quite comfortable. It is looking good for Manchester United signing up Amad Diallo. So hopefully by the end of this month, we should get a big update on Amad Diallo. Those are the words coming out of Manchester United, or the little rumours coming out at the moment that he is very close to sealing that deal, which is great news for Manchester United. There are certain players that are not so unlikable. That are not so unlikable. That is not on the fans. The attitude of those players is a damning indictment, and on the previous regime, a lack of integrity and professionalism. But I get it. Yeah, letting the players get away with murder. We've said this when Ruben Amorim answered Gary Neville's question on whether he would have let Casemiro and Marcus Rashford leave. I feel like that's aside from it, but the whole culture around Manchester United was of a free-for-all under Erik ten Hag. The fact that SEG owners and staff were walking around Carrington at will, Dutch media were coming in doing what they wanted. It's like ten Hag was running it as his own little project at Manchester United, and something needed to change. I can see why, if this was true and what was going on behind the scenes was happening like that, why INEOS didn't want Erik ten Hag in at Manchester United. Putting members of staff in place there and seeing what was actually going on was probably enough for them to know that this wasn't the right man for the club and everything needed to change. Could our game be called off? I don't think it will, not at Old Trafford, unless the travelling conditions and conditions outside of Old Trafford are too dangerous, but there is no word of that happening just yet, so I cannot see the game being called off today. It's just going to be one of them, wrap up warm and get your waterproofs on, everybody. Thankfully for me, Alfie's game was called off this morning, so I don't have to go to that one and get drenched twice today, but it is going to be a tough one, so make sure you stay safe out there today, everybody. Then they must not support half the team. Bruno, Garnacho, Rasmus, Casemiro, Mount, all inconsistent, and not as much as Marcus Rashford. And Bruno, I don't feel, again, he keeps getting tarnished with this same brush. He is nowhere near the issue that Marcus Rashford is, and I will shut that down right now. That is just disrespectful, even bringing him on, putting him in the same bracket as Marcus Rashford after what he did last season. So let's not even go there. Rashford has caused his own problems off the pitch, and his attitude on it is completely different to the other players in this team. Performance-wise, there's a debate to have, but let's not go down the issue of the attitude of some of these players, comparing them to Marcus, because it is not fair. I'll make that clear. Garnacho defended well, but was one of the players who wasn't decisive enough against Arsenal, played too safe. Garnacho, for me, needs to change. He needs to up his game. I'm not going to let Garnacho get away with it. I think fair criticism needs to come his way, as well as other players. I don't think any of Man United's forwards right now are performing. I don't. I think Mason Mount, has done well in his 2 games, and coming back a bit more, I think he will be a mainstay in the side. Rasmus Højlund, I don't think was that bad. I don't think he got any service at all against Arsenal, which we've known, and that is a problem that we have got. I think his hold-up play is getting better, by no way means it's perfect. And honestly, I'd gave him a 6 out of 10 for the Arsenal game. It wasn't great, but let's be honest, comparing him to Rashford, comparing him to Xerxes when they both came on, completely ineffective at all. Ahmad is a different level above everyone else in our forward line, and he's playing at wing-back. He creates more than any of our forwards right now, and he's playing in more of a defensive position, which shows you the determination and attitude in that player alone, and why Manchester United will need to get this contract signed up. Amorim needs to find a way to get Rashford on side and producing, otherwise he won't be lasting. Rashford won't be sold unless he demands a transfer. No, I disagree with that one. I think Rashford will be sold if INEOS want to get rid of him. This is the difference right now. There was no way that Rashford was going to go in INEOS' first summer. But if they see a player there that's holding United back, that isn't earning them any money, then you've got to just look at it that way as an ownership and go, right, okay, it's time. Rashford will not get game time week in, week out. His product, his brand will fall away eventually, and INEOS will see it. We've maxed out on Marcus Rashford right now. If you're going to the Superstore, or anyone, I don't go there, by the way, obvious reasons, but if you're a kid and you're going to the Manchester United Superstore or any store around, you're looking for a shirt these days, you're not going to go for Marcus Rashford. You're going to go for Garnacho. You're going to go for Mainu. You're going to go for Ahmad. These are the players now that are taking over. The Rashford era is done in terms of like the best thing at Manchester United, the one the kids all want to be and aspire to. He's 27. He's moving on. His football isn't great. And people watching it right now are looking at other players. It isn't the same. And the whole commercial side of things with Marcus Rashford, I think he's gone. It really is. So I just don't see INEOS being the same as what it was before. They will act, and they will act according to what they see. Their whole model is based on football winning. Otherwise, they're done. And their legacy and what Sir Jim Ratcliffe will leave will be Manchester United again failing under a different ownership model with the same results as what it was under the Glazers. They have to push, they have to be successful on the pitch. And that's the difference. Beforehand under the Glazers, it did not matter. It didn't matter one bit. And they maxed it out, tried to get the Super League to bail them out, and it failed, which is the only reason why they ended up selling part of the football club. So Jim Ratcliffe wants full ownership of Manchester United. He needs them to be successful because he understands how much that brand works in the sports industry more than what the Glazers did. We had, 250 people that got let go that didn't need to be there working in the commercial sector of Manchester United. That shows you everything and how the club was being run. It was deal after deal after deal on the side, just making money, paying dividends, paying shareholders. That's all it was about. For INEOS, it's different. They have to be successful on the pitch. And that's why Marcus Rashford will not last. I think he will come back into form. I think there will be times in this season where Rashford actually shows what he's about. But it's whether Amorim can get it to be consistent enough. That's the question. Can you get more consistently out of Marcus? I think Amorim will get more out of him because I think he's relatable. I think people and the players understand him more, and I think that's what will be the difference with Amorim. Everything else is on the players, and INEOS will see it. And that is why we are going to see a different United, even better United, I think, next season after we've had this summer. Because there will be players that do get shipped out, and there will be players that you don't expect to get shipped out as well. Rhett says, next summer will be a cull. It needs to be. It needs to be pay off the dead wood and take the hit. We've paid off managers to pay, so pay off players that ain't invested in the project. Look, I think we'll take we're not going to take a loss on Rashford if we sell him. He's obviously 100% profit, so whatever we do make, he's going to be in there and benefiting us. I just feel like his value is just going to keep on dropping now. And INEOS are a business. They understand the sports side of it. They will sell Rashford eventually. And they will, unfortunately, not get what they wanted for him because he isn't performing. If Rashford wants to rot on the bench, then that's up to him. But I don't see INEOS allowing Ruben Amorim to come in and do what he wants and then putting a 350 grand a week player on the bench, wasting money away with all of the cuts that they've made. If they're willing to take $2.5 million a year off Sir Alex Ferguson, they won't have any issue in getting rid of Marcus Rashford. Trust me on this one, they won't. He has to be doing better. And right now, like I said, commercially and what he brings to the club, there are other players overtaking him. I know this from people who work there at Manchester United. It's your Garnachos. It's your Amads, your Mainus. These are the players now that the kids are looking at. The Rashford era is done. It is done. He needs to start playing better football. That's all he needs to do now. He just needs to knuckle down and concentrate on that. When he gets the opportunity, just hit it. Full throttle. Otherwise, it's going to be a wasted career. He's got a little chance of salvaging something, Marcus, but I don't know if he's got it in him. That's the killer bit. Because you want him to, and you're like, you've got another chance. You've got another chance. Surely you will not be how you was before. And the tiny little aspects of that already creeping in now, and that's the concern that everybody's bringing up. That's why people are asking questions in press conferences. That's why Marcus Rashford, who is the pin-up of Manchester United and the highest paid player and most experienced player, that's why questions are aimed at him. He has built this whole character, this whole Mr. Manchester United up himself and accepted the plus points of it. He has to obviously accept the negatives with it as well. And that only happens if he knuckles down and does it on the pitch. It's the only way he survives. Adam, if we let 5 players leave, how do we replace them and buy other players? Well, I'll answer that in this way. So 5 players leave. Christian Eriksen, is he doing enough for Man United at the moment? Would you want to see other players come through Manchester United's academy to replace him? Johnny Evans, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Antony. Have we got better players coming through the academy? Probably not as good at the moment, but potential is there. In terms of not being able to replace 5 players, what about bringing in Angel Gomez, who is better in that position, who is younger, who is a United player? What about going for Alphonso Davies, who is a free transfer? 2 players in there for nothing, basically. All being paid for with a bit of change in terms of wage structure for the 5 players that have left the football club. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there are easy ways to do this. United are not in a difficult position for letting 5 players go. In fact, it's a benefit because it makes room for them to improve. You could bring in 4 players this summer for less than 100 million, and we have got that to spend. And 4 players that will make Manchester United better. That's a fact. That's how you replace 5 players easily. So we got here, we got a super chat in from You Got Raws. Thank you, buddy. How many goals does Rashford need to get to have the club take on his wages and give United decent transfer money for him? Well, we said it on the show. I think Rashford needs to hit 20 goals this season to at least come in at maybe par. That's it. 20 goals now. He needs what? I think about 14 or something from now to the end of the season. If he gets 20, that's par. I think a birdie, using golf phrases here, don't know why, but you know what I mean. Par is 20 goals. I think a birdie's about 25. Eagle, 30 goals. You know where I'm going with it. It's up and up and up. Obviously, I personally don't think 20 goals is worth 350 grand a week. I think that's just about surviving. 25 guaranteed goals a season. I think he's a 200 grand a week player. I think 30 goal plus a season, like the one belter that he did have, I feel like that is your wages. Rashford needs to be hitting 30 goals a season to warrant that wage. And he isn't an out-and-out goal scorer, so I don't know why the club have given him that amount of money and that deal. It was absolutely ludicrous. It really was. People will always throw Bruno Fernandes back in that equation and why they gave him a deal. But again, like Bruno just gets thrown into the equation every single time, and I don't understand why. Look, Bruno puts the effort in. Bruno's there. He's available every single week, and his numbers do add up. His numbers do add significance to Manchester United's finishing position in the league. Rashford contributed jack shit last season completely. Bruno did, and that's the difference. I still, by the way, I still don't think Bruno should be on the wages that he's on either. And like we all agree, we don't believe that any of the players should be on the wages that they're on. When I was talking the other day about Alphonso Davies coming in, and everyone was saying it's too much money, we can't be doing this again. Well, no, that's a proven player that has competed and succeeded at the highest level. That's a player that's earned 250 grand a week to be in. And I would take Alphonso Davies on $250,000 a week instantly. Yes, I would want a guaranteed, brilliant, best-in-class player for only 60 grand more a week than what Harry Maguire is on. Oh, yes, I would. I would definitely want Alphonso Davies for 50 grand more than what Anthony's on a week because he is guaranteed. That's the difference in wages, and that's the difference in what players should be earning and what they shouldn't be earning. And they're the levels. Manchester United have just promoted average. They've promoted mediocrity for the last decade. And that's where we are now, and where people think that Marcus Rashford is actually that player that he isn't. He's not. He is a good player, but he is not world class. He would be in the England squad every single week if he was, and he's not. Again, I still can't believe that he hasn't really used that as a tool to actually kick on again and have that as like a bit of a rude awakening. Garnacho is mirroring the Rashford situation, massively overhyped too early, and could be here in 8 years on crazy contract. See, this is the thing now. I think it's a little bit different, and I think United have cottoned onto it a bit. So Garnacho on a 5-year deal on 50 grand a week is exactly where he needs to be. When you look at a player that's on 50 grand, 19, putting out the numbers that he is, the inconsistency that he is, I think that's fine. I think he's earning his money in what he's doing, if you're looking at it on a wage side of things. Will he get a new contract? I don't think it's the same under INEOS. He needs to do more. In 2 years' time, when Garnacho's at 21, if he hasn't improved from where he is now, I think United will be looking at maybe selling him and moving him on. And that's just the INEOS model. I think that's what needs to happen. Look, every player gets 2 years. I think the academy players coming through, if they do break through early and hit the ground running, you obviously like to look at them and go, maybe they need to mature a bit more first. We give them a bit more time. Look, Garnacho's just coming into what now his third full season. And he is getting better. He is. He isn't progressing like we all wanted him to. And he's hit a bit of a wall at the moment in terms of his inconsistency. But again, he will see out this season. He'll probably see out next season. And then I think a decision will be made. I think that's fair as well. He'll have a couple of years left on his contract. And INEOS will make a decision. This is where it's going to be now. We shouldn't be too much concerned with players still being at the football club in years down the line. I don't think that is going to come about. I don't think we're going to be in a situation where we are with Marcus Rashford ever again. I think INEOS won't allow that to happen. They won't pay the wages. It's like Harry Maguire wanting a new contract. I just don't see him getting it because we've got a different structure above now. And they're not going to give players contracts willy-nilly all the time. It's not going to happen. But we'll see who goes in the summer and how quickly INEOS acts on players underperforming. And then we'll have a look at it and see whether we think that INEOS are the real deal. I think there will be big outgoings this summer. I think it has to be. It's the last chance we've got, really. Wayne says, on his day, Rashford is unplayable, but unfortunately, we haven't seen that side of him in nearly 2 years. Everyone knows he has the ability, but does not have the desire anymore. It does look that way. Stephen says, Rashford does nothing to versus top teams. Didn't even clap for the fans after the Arsenal game. But you could argue Bruno Fernandes doesn't turn up in big games as well. That's a valid point. What have we got in here? Let's get through a few more comments. Ross says, every time a Murto contract expires or is sold on, this club gets a bit more breathing room to be sustainable. Yeah, good comments. What if Alfonso is shite at United? Then we have given him a ridiculous contract again. I think that's what everyone is bothered about. Les, I get what you're trying to say there, but are you always going to think in the negative? Are you always going to assume that these players are just going to fail? You've put in a football structure. You've changed the whole culture of a club. You've put in a coach, first time in the club's history instead of a manager. You've got all of the team. You've got accountability now at Manchester United. You cannot keep on thinking that this player is going to be negative and we're going to be moaning about the same thing again. Yeah, of course, it's the same situation with everyone. Do you think that City fans are happy with Jack Grealish and 100 million? No, they're not. But if they're winning, no one really cares. That's the difference. It's like everyone having the patience with Darwin Núñez at Liverpool. Why? Because they're succeeding and they're playing well. Manchester United right now are just underperforming. So every single player that's under the spotlight gets more and more scrutiny. And it's just inevitable the way it's going. But we cannot keep thinking that that play is not going to work. The structure's there. The players are there to get. There is someone that will get the best out of him. Alphonso Davies, I am not concerned about. I really do think that he is a player that will succeed at Manchester United under Ruben Amorim. And that's what we have to look at. What we've got there that the players are coming into is different to what it was before. And we should think that INEOS have a plan. They're not going to give crazy contracts to anyone willy-nilly. Like I said, it has to be a good player to earn a decent wage. And like the highest paid player from all of the players we brought in this summer is Matthias de Ligt. And I don't even think he gets into the top 8 highest earners at Manchester United with the wage that he's on. And he's one of our consistent players this season. So is Mazraoui, so is Agate. And they're nowhere near earning what some of the other players that really don't deserve their wage are earning. The contracts are too long at United. Look at Salah and Virgil playing out of their skin for new deals. Marcus got a 5-year deal. No, I think they will. I don't think the contracts are too long. I think they're about right. I think 5 years is good at the right age. I don't agree with Marcus Rashford's wages, basically, is the issue. There's no way he should be on that money. I think that's the problem that everyone's got. A 5-year deal definitely is the right way to go, I think. I just think they're being paid too much within that deal. I think there needs to be incentives within there as well and performance-related bonuses and stuff like that to get that player doing more. Let's see what else we've got in here right now. Loads of people talking and having good old conversations in there that I can see. I love that. Good morning to you as well, Martin. Hello, everyone who is just joining us. Don't worry about being late. It's a Saturday. You can always watch the show later. Make sure you're chilling out and recovering. It's going to be a busy old afternoon, trust me. We've got the road trip coming up, obviously, before the game later on. And then we've got all the reaction outside of Old Trafford. And we will be back later on tonight. Has Liverpool and Everton been called off? Someone's just said that in the chat there. Is that true? Well, I need to start checking on this news here now. This is big. I just need to check. Yep. Today's Merseyside derby at Goodison Park has been postponed due to adverse weather conditions. Full details to follow. Okay, right. If Everton is called off, then there is a chance that Manchester United's game with Nottingham Forest could be under threat as well. I didn't see that. That news has just come out. That's really interesting. Very interesting. In other news as well, quickly on the transfer front as well. Charlotte's 16-year-old forward, Nimfasa Berchimans, will spend the next week training at Manchester United. The club are monitoring his progress and could make an offer in the future. That's from Ben Jacobs. That's an interesting one. But yeah, I think more concerning is the fact that the game is off. The Merseyside derby is off, and that is obviously just down the East Lancs from Manchester. I can tell you right now, about 40 minutes down the road, a Premier League game has been called off. There is a serious chance, if this weather continues the way it is, that Manchester United might actually be called off as well. That is a distinct possibility. That would be gutting, wouldn't it? Oh, I don't know. Well, let's see. But travelling fans, yeah. I think what's coming from it is the fact that it's easy to call off an Everton game and Liverpool because it's all in the same city, and obviously there's no travelling fans for that, and it's easy to just call and make that decision. It's the first game of the weekend as well, so we have to look at that also. And it's like Nottingham Forest fans travelling up, couple of 2.5 hours maybe from Nottingham. I think we'll get a decision probably by lunchtime if anything is going to happen with United. But let's just keep an eye on the fixtures. Let's keep an eye on what's actually happening. Really interesting. But yeah, just to go over that, our Liverpool's game at Everton is off, everybody, because of the weather. We are being hit by a storm here in England today, and the west of the country is more effective. Obviously, that does include us, so stay tuned for that one. I don't know at the moment. There's no word from anyone. Manchester United game is on. I think because the Everton game is so early and it's Liverpool and Everton and no one needs to travel. Although there will be fans travelling in, sorry. Obviously, there's fans from all over that come and watch Liverpool and Everton alike. Sorry, I didn't mean that in any disrespectful way, but the majority would be obviously in that Liverpool area, so I feel like that's why that game has been called early, and the fact that it is the early kickoff as well is why we're getting it at 10 to 9 in the morning. So, yeah, I think that's why. But still, let's just keep an eye on everything as it goes along. I think there will be a few cancellations today. It's always decided, if there's a Premier League game off, then I feel like there's going to be a chance that there's plenty of games going to be off today up and down the country. Because yeah, you very, very rarely get a Premier League game getting cancelled for the weather. It's usually heavy snow or something like that. But for wind and rain, yeah, that must mean that it is bad. Yep. I have a family in Nottingham. It takes them around an hour and a half to 3/4 to get there under normal conditions. Yeah, so you can take that up to about 2.5, 3 hours with the conditions. I don't think there will be many cars on the road. They'll be telling cars not, or high-sided vehicles not to drive on the motorways today with the storm that's coming. So, yep. United game decision to be made by safety board at 10 a.m, says Ted Stan. That's interesting if that is true, so we'll know by 10 o'clock. It'll be really disappointing, won't it? It will. Kazi, thank you for renewing the membership. Good morning, guys. Better things are coming at Manchester United. Watch this space. Thank you for that. Thank you for all the contributions today, everybody. James, Kazi, you got Raws and Enjoy Writing. Thank you for all of them. We're going to wrap things up there. I will keep you posted with the game itself, if it is on or if it is off. Stay tuned. Make sure you have subscribed. Make sure you've got the bell notifications on for any updates coming. And I will see you all later on. Hopefully, it's talking about the football at Old Trafford. But otherwise, it'd be a bit of a damn squib, won't it? It'll be a bit of a dull one. But hey, at least Ruben Amorim will be able to train the players if it's called off. That's a bonus. But anyway, we all want the football to be on, and hopefully it is. We should have updates as it comes. And yeah, let's just play it by ear, everyone. But thank you for tuning in. Cheers, everybody. Appreciate that. Like, share, subscribe on the way out, and I'll see you all later on today.